Okay, everybody, I'm just putting up my hair. Hold on one second. I don't think anybody's going to be on here anyways, just quite yet. But don't feel like editing my videos right now because I just got a new, what was it, a video editing software. It's called the Vega software, the Vega video editing software, and it is just a booger and a monkey to deal with. And I tried to edit my video that was just loaded up this morning on this Vega video editing site, and it just was like, oh, no. It was just not, it was not cool, it was not pretty, and I was just ended up sitting there frustrated for 3 hours trying to edit a video. So I'm gonna just do it live right now and don't feel like editing. Yeah, I'm lazy. Don't feel like editing. I'm such a Kelly from Truth and Story sometimes. And I see we have one person joining us. And it's okay. Okay, decks that surprised me of 2017. And I know I have more decks that I want to do, but I'm just going to start doing getting some started and doing some basic decks that surprised me of 2017. The first deck that surprised me of, hey, the sound is a bit quiet for you. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I could fix it real quick. Hi, Miss Arwen. How you doing? Let me see if I bring my camera closer. Maybe you could hear me better? Can you hear me better now, or you still can't hear me so well? Just let me know, because I'm filming on the, okay, awesome. Because I'm filming on the pad, and I'm also trying to have it a good distance away. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Because I'm trying to have it a good distance away so you could see me, see cards and stuff like that. But the first deck that surprised me of 2017 was a deck that I thought I was really going to hit it off with and connect with, is my Star Child Tarot. And it's really such a shame because I really crushed on this deck for, I gotta say, years. Ever since that first edition came out, I crushed on this deck, and I'm just not using it. I'm not picking it up. I'm not using it. I'm not seeking for it. I'm not wanting to use it. And the back's beautiful, and it has that beautiful matte finish on the sides. It's really a shame. I really wish that I was picking this deck up more, and this is the Star Child Tarot, Miss Arwen. It's the Star Child Tarot. It's the Akashic version, the bordered Akashic version of the Star Child Tarot. Yeah, it's that one. And they did come out with a borderless edition, but I'm very hesitant to buy the borderless edition of this deck because if I can't even connect with this version, the borderless edition to me is not going to make too much of a difference. I think some of my problem with this deck has to be that the cardstock is like 450 GSMs or 400 GSM cardstock, and it's just not very flexible. Let me see if I could try to shuffle it for you and for you to see how meaty this deck is. Yeah. Actually, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good shuffle. But that's as far as it's going to go. And there you go. That's as best as it does. And this is a U.S. gaming system cardstock. And I think U.S. gaming cardstock tends to be on the thicker side anyways. And this is the Deviant Moon. Yeah, it is such a very pricey deck. I paid out the nose for shipping from Canada, and they shipped DSL, and DSL is the worst mail carrier in Canada. I think they're the worst. I've never had any problems with any of the European shippings. I've even bought some decks from Russia, which I'll have to remind myself to pull that one out because that one was a cool deck. But I've even bought decks of as far away as that, and I've never had problems with shipping. And especially when they're on the other side of the world, you would expect that the shipping would be about 2 to 3 weeks. But it's insane. Canada's not too far from the States, and it took about 3 to 4 weeks just for my deck to come in, and it was insane. It was really bad. And but yeah, this really surprised me that I never connected with it, because I think I would still connect with the first edition if I was able to get my hands on the first edition of this deck. But I don't think I know anybody that's gonna be willing to trade a first edition or whatever the case may be for the first edition of this deck. So we'll see. I know I'm kind of random at a random hour, but I thought, well, 5 o'clock in London right now is like, well, it's like 5 o'clock in London right now, and so that would mean it'd be... Yes, Miss Harlan, it's like a blind date. You want to call a friend? About that. But yeah, I know this is an awkward hour to do a live chat, but I was figuring that in London, according to my pad, it's 5 o'clock now, and that might be at a time when people get off work and get on lunch. And here in the States, I know a lot of people are still in their day jobs, but I thought it would not be so bad. It would not be so bad to just pop on and just talk about my decks that surprised me, because I was saying in the beginning of the video, I got a new video editing system. It's the Vega Studio editing system, and it is clunky as hell, and my patient level with it is like right there. I have no patience for it, so I figured that I would be happier doing it this live than I would actually going back in another 2 hours or 3 hours or however long it is and break my computer in the end of the day. So yeah. The decks that surprised me in a good way, and this is a deck that I've had for a long time, and so it doesn't surprise me that I've had it a long time. That part doesn't surprise me, but it surprises me that my love connection with the Deviant Moon has gotten a lot stronger and better since I've got I think people would watch that in this R1. I think people would, if you did have that as a live prompt, I think people would actually watch it. I would. Blind dates as a cartomancer. The struggles that we go through. Ever since I got the Deviant Moon guidebook, it's a huge guidebook, but this is like the U.S. gaming systems at its best, and it has the best pictures I've been reading. You want me to write for that magazine? I could write you something really good for that magazine, Sorrow. Don't tempt me, because I will. And I'll write you a full excerpt article about blind dating as a tarot reader. Oh my gosh. I could even just do a prompt on that. That would be fun. But why not? But yeah, I love this book. It's a really good book. It's very meaty. The only problem I have with the size of this book, and it's such a big book, I love it. What I love about the book is it's such a beautiful book, and it's well done. But the only problem I really have is it's not portable. It's not a portable book. I would have liked it better if it was a portable book that I can... It is crazy good. It is so crazy good, Miss Harlan. It is so crazy good, and I really feel like I'm connecting better with the Deviant Moon just with this guidebook alone. If anybody had a question of connecting with the Deviant Moon, I would say that you need to have this guidebook to really get the Deviant Moon better than just a superficial level. I feel like when you just got the little white book that it came with, it did not, I think it was still very distant. It was like you got some of the basis of what the cards are saying and what was in the cards and everything like that, but you just didn't, there was like a backstory to the cards that you just wanted to know, and I felt like that book, the Deviant Moon book, is really answering some of those questions. I always loved the art of the Deviant Moon. The Deviant Moon art is like yum. Every single full moon, every single moon that is around, I feel like I have to read with the Deviant Moon for moon readings and things like that. So I think that's what I'm going to be using this deck more often for, because I feel like it's called Deviant Moon, so it has moon in it. So when you are in your moon cycles and stuff and you're wanting to work with the moon energies, I feel like this deck really accentuates on the shadow of the moon, the dark side of the moon. I love Pink Floyd. I love all the good stuff. So that's a deck that I really was shocked about this 2017, that in a good way. And my connection with it is starting to become a lot bolder. I'm kind of leaning in because I'm trying to make sure, you hearing me okay? Kind of leaning in. And of course I've talked about this in my other live chat, and I've talked about this also, I think, in my video that I just posted, which is the decks of 2017, or the decks I've been working with 2017, is the Nayati Tarot, or Nadi Tarot by Ilmenigalo. This deck is just a sexy deck. It is so beautiful. I love the colors. It's just beyond gorgeous. And it shuffles like nobody's business. Oh, I just love to hear the sound of the shuffling. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's that beautiful paper cardstock. I really love Ilmenigalo decks. I love the teacups. I feel like the sense of humor in this deck gets me. I was saying that before. Ugh. Such a beautiful deck. Beautiful, beautiful deck. And I need to actually talk about, not really talk about this, but I need to read this deck a little bit deeper, but it's the, yeah, I love humor in decks. It's the best. It is the best, Christine Celeste. I really do feel like the Barbara Walker Tarot, I don't know if this is a popular deck or not. I don't think it is. But I feel like this deck is so underrated. There's something about this deck is beautiful. It's underrated. I feel like it's mean for you. It's mean. So it has a mean energy. So I get it. I could get it, Miss Arwen. That there's a meanness about this deck. But I think this deck kind of is like the Mary L in a way. But I think you're right, Miss Arwen. There is a little bit of a mean girl-ness about this deck, where the core cards are like the dark side of the core cards, and sometimes it's the dark side of the minor arcana, but I feel like the majors are pretty good. And I really love the mythologies and the symbolisms that she chose for this deck. It is just phenomenal. It is such a phenomenal deck, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's definitely a little bit more on the darker side of tarot. I have to agree with you on that. I really love this card, even though it's not my favorite to pin. Oh yeah, I love the book, and I got the book on Amazon, but she doesn't. I had to buy it separately for the deck. I think I paid like $10 for it, And I tried to convince Two Spirit that he needs to buy the book, and he says that it was like 13 pounds over in Europe, and I don't do my conversions very well to your euros, but that's definitely more than $10 in euros. In US dollars, 13 euros I think is a lot more. I think it's like $15 to $20 US dollars. I don't do conversions very well. My head conversions with certain things is kind of wonky, but you get a really good sized book, and it's downstairs, and I have the kids downstairs, so I'm not even bothering to get it. They're sleeping. When I sleep, I play. I like to play when they're sleeping. And what I like to do when they're sleeping, I play with tarot. Yes, and I'm not ashamed. Not ashamed whatsoever. But yeah, there's a certain meanness of this to this deck, but I love some of the images that they have, like the Urda, which is the primal image of Venus in European art. I think they like the, you know what I'm trying to say. I can't have the words in my head, but I'm not really forming it in. But I just really love how it's depicted in that card for the Queen of Pentacles. And this guy is just really brutal. And he does kind of show on the brutal side of the court cards a little bit. So, yeah, I get it. I get it. It is a mean deck. It's like that mean girl. Sometimes you want to play with that mean girl, and sometimes you really don't want to play with her because she says some mean things. It makes you cry sometimes in the corner. And another deck that I did on my video that surprised me at 2017 video, my top decks for 2017 video, is the Ellis deck. And I have the Borderless edition downstairs, but I thought this is a lot easier and portable for upstairs. And I'm really shocked about this deck. I've heard people talk about it. I've heard, Veronica Jude ranting and raving about this deck for a little while. And she was ranting and raving how many copies she had, and she trimmed down one copy, and she kept the borders on another copy, and things like that. This one's the Ellis deck, and you could get this on US Amazon for $45, Miss Arwen. And it's a Rider-Waite clone. And I showed it to Two Spirit, and he really... Oh, hi, Miss Luna. I still need to mail your deck out for your giveaway, Miss Luna. I am so sorry. Life, the kids, just... Ugh. I probably could have done it today, but my husband has to get my car state inspected. Stupid laws. This one is not the plastic one as well as Luna. This one's the paper edition. I have the Borderless plastic edition downstairs. But I will still get it to you, Miss Luna. And I told Two Spirit the same thing. And I think the third person that won the giveaway never contacted me, so I don't think she wanted the deck. So I have to figure out something else. But it's cool. It's cool. But back onto this Ellis deck. It's the 4th edition paper stock, but the cardstock to this is like amazing. It's like that 350 to, I think this is like 350 GSMs. This is kind of like that sexy US gaming cardstock. Kind of like the Japri. It's the same as the Japri Tarot. Maybe even the Japri Tarot is a little thicker than the Ellis deck. And I think the Japri Tarot is like that normal card stock size. I didn't realize that this deck was actually smaller. It's exactly this pretty much the same cardstock, except I think the Japri Tarot is that little bit thicker and a little bit taller and wider. But I actually, believe it or not, did not know that this was smaller than a standard size tarot deck. I was just kind of blind to it. When I was handling the cards, I was just totally oblivious to the fact that this actually was a smaller, or not, yeah, card size than a standard size deck. And it is just an awesome deck. I am surprised. This deck really, really was cool deck. And I don't know why. Yes, I do have the plastic one as well. It's the Borderless edition, but I have it downstairs, Miss Luna. And if you watch my top 10 decks of 2017, which I just uploaded this morning, I kind of showed you how to shuffle it a little bit, but even then, it was a mess. I did like that sideways shuffle, and that sideways shuffle with the tripod between my arms was just not good. That one, it was crazy expensive, yeah, but I just immediately fell in love with this deck, and I had to get the Borderless edition. I hate when things like that work out. It's like, I love this one so much that I got the Borderless edition that it was crazy. I was in my crazy mode again. Crazy tarot mode again. I get crazy. Crazy girl. Oh, yeah, I love this one. I forgot about this one. I looked at this in the camera finder. I went, oh yeah, I love this one. This is a beautiful one. I love how her outfit and the like the branches from her in her hair. So beautiful. And there's just really beautiful things about this deck. I don't know what it is about this deck, but this deck immediately contacted me. It just connected to me really easily, and I could get the right away images like that, and it was perfect. It was just real perfect. And it does really beautiful readings when you put it across the table and all. The one thing I don't like about the Borderless plastic edition is the cardstock size. I would have preferred the size of the deck being closer to this size. That was my only beef with the plastic edition deck. And the price. The price was crazy expensive. I think I was going crazy again. Quite honestly, I was going crazy bonkers again. What other decks that surprised me? I've heard Kelly talk about this deck last year. This is the Epic Tarot, by the way. I forgot who it was by. I have my storage boxes over down here under this bookshelf behind me here, and I don't remember who the creator was, but this deck is, I remembered seeing this last year when it first came out on Kelly's walkthroughs, on one of Kelly's walkthroughs, and it surprised me in a good way. I knew I was going to like this deck when I saw her walkthrough, and I told my husband I really would like this deck for my birthday, so he got me this deck for my birthday. And there's just, wow. I just really love the images. I think that some of the images in this deck is pretty masculine and very powerful. I think we need to convince Chase from Two of Owls to get this deck, because I know that his taste is kind of like that divine masculine taste. He does have a divine masculineness in his tarot art. I've noticed that. And I think that we need to convince him that he needs this deck. Chase needs this deck. But I noticed that Chase is not like an avid tarot collector like some of us are. I'm got over 100 decks, kid you not. And I'm trying to keep it in a more manageable area so that I could fit it all on my shelves behind me. But that has not been working out so well. I've been seeing some beautiful decks, and I'm just kind of like, I gotta have it. But, so yeah, I'm totally convinced that Chase from Two of Owls needs this deck. But I don't think he's really much of a collector as much as he's a connoisseur in a way. So, that's what I think. And this is a beautiful deck, and it's wonderful. Is there any decks that anybody wants to see, or they think that I have that I might talk about, or you want to talk to me about? Because I'm also watching the screen, as well as some of decks that surprised me of 2017. I forget what year it is constantly. Just let me know on the screen. I'll pick out another deck. I'm just kind of looking back. Alright. I did show... Well, I'll be broke if I continue seeing these beautiful decks. Hi! Hi, bird watchers. I like that. That's really cool. The Tableau Mundi is a beautiful deck. And I'm sorry, Miss Luna. I'm not trying to make you broke. But this is one deck that I really worked on this beginning of this year, and I think I talked about this in one of my my video too, so I'm probably not going to talk about this so much. But this is just one of the deck that surprised me, and I think it surprised a lot of people when it first came out. This is so beautiful. I think that the colors and the chakra colors in this deck is also wonderful. When you talk about chakra colors, Christine and Celeste, I know that's what you're into. And it's got that earthiness. It's just got this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful imagery, card after card. And this is just, I think, one of my favorite cards of all time in this deck. And I forgot to show this in my 22 faves, is the Anyon Tarot, or the Judgment card. Oh, I love the Stonehenge in the background, and the fire, and all those juicy, beautiful symbolisms. I could just have this card on my shelf all day and just totally just meld into it. It's just that beautiful. And I'm surprised that this deck hasn't been getting that rant and rave anymore. I think it had its season. I think this deck really was really popular when it first came out in last fall and to the beginning of winter this year. But I really have not... Yeah, I agree, Miss Luna. I'm really, really surprised that this deck has really not been on a lot of people's Instagram feeds and stuff like that, that this is a deck that they're working with. It's kind of, yeah, it is more of an advanced deck, but I don't know. I think sometimes you can look past it, and I think this deck, if you really want to learn this deck, this is not, oh, I just kind of like this deck and I want to read 3 card draws. If you really want to learn with this deck, I think you need to do a 1 card draw a day and write down and journal on a piece of paper or in a journal book, whatever you use for journaling, every single one of these images, and have it really sink in, from down to the moons, down to the comet flying overhead, down with the boiling water, the dragon into the deck, the Stonehenge, the beautiful life coming from the plant, the fire symbols, the lava, the sun in the background. What does it all mean as a whole? And what does it mean as a whole for you in that day? Maybe I think that's a very worthy way of learning this deck, because it really isn't a very advanced deck, and I think it goes over a lot of people's heads. It even goes over my head, believe it or not. It really does go over my head quite often, and that's probably why I don't reach for it right now or quite often. What crazy decks have I been also working with this 2017? The Lumina Tarot. I really think that this deck is so underrated, but I think it came out in a very, very, very bad time. I think if it came out any time before the first edition of the Wild Unknown or any time way after the first edition of the Wild Unknown, this would have been a deck that everybody would be reaching for on their shelves. But I think just because it's some of the cards, like the Hierophant card is a little weird. Some of the cards... My first tarot meeting at 7, so gotta go. Okay, good. Have good luck on your meeting, Miss Bird Watchers. And I hope you do well in your meeting. And so, I think if it was any time different than the time that it was done, I think it would have been a lot more popular than it is. But because of the negative association tied with the Wild Unknown, and I think some of the negative associations, even with some of the people cards in this deck, and the lack of diversity in this deck, really is a shame. It is a shame. Because I feel like the minors in particular are just stunning. Maybe the core cards are not everybody's favorite, or maybe the, like the people cards are not most people's favorite, but I just love the minors in this deck. The swords with the flowers, some people have a beef with this card because it's not so much Six of Swords-y. And I get the Six of Swords-ness in this card, but I get where people are coming from, though. I do get where people are coming from. That this deck, some of the shading and some of that other stuff, yeah, around her mouth is a little weird. She shaded her mouth a little bit weird in the High Priestess card, and I could see where it is weird. It's weird. But there's some other things in this deck that I'm just kind of like, really? People are not ranting and raving about this deck and really all over it? I just don't feel like it's a very underrated deck, because I think it's all still tied into the Wild Unknown. And I have some other decks. I was actually dreaming about this deck last night. I actually dreamt about this deck last night. I don't know why. I don't know if it says that I need to work with it again or what, but I dreamt about one of the images on this deck, and it's the Dark Goddess Tarot. And I was doing single draws a day with this deck, and I felt this deck is actually pretty cool. It's actually a really good single draw a day deck. I don't use this in a reading. I can't see this deck being a complete 3-card reading or a Celtic Cross reading and stuff. I think this deck really is highlighted when you do single draws a day and you're really working with a goddess a day. And I always get the Greek goddesses in this deck. And I just think this deck is also a little bit on the underrated side. I feel like that I do hear people rant and rave about this deck, but it's not to the... I don't know how else to say it. I think it's a deck that did surprise me of 2017. It's just... I love this deck. I just love the cards. I like learning about the goddesses, and the goddesses actually are very, very in line with what I'm doing and what I'm doing today, and like a good daily draw. This is a really good daily draw deck, and you get these wonderful... I think they're simple, but they're wonderful to work with. The Terror of the Crone. I also bought that one too, and yeah, love it. Christine Solis. It's such a beautiful deck, and It's still available if anybody still wants to get this deck. Just to throw it out there. I think it's still like $45 to $55 by itself. But it's still a beautiful deck. And this one, I believe... Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And this one, I believe, is still available as the 4th edition of the Tarot of the Crone. And this one, I get scared about this deck. I'll tell you why. And it's not a scared in a bad way. I get scared in a good way, I guess, about this deck. I feel like my own personal tarot deck that I've been painting is looking too much like the Tarot of the Crone, but I guess I have to look past that and say, no, it's not the Tarot Crone. I don't see Tarot Crone when I am doing my images or painting my images for my own personal deck. I don't see Tarot Crone when I'm painting my images of my personal deck, but I'm a little too worried, or I'm a little worried that people are going to compare my deck to Raven's Prophecy Tarot with the simple little imageries and things like that, and the Tarot of the Crone. I'm a little, just the simplicity of the images in the Tarot of the Crone and the simplicity of the images in the Raven's Prophecy deck. There's a part of me that's going, is it looking too much the same? I hope not. I don't think it is, but when you're making your own deck and your own tarot deck, there's these little phobias that start to circle in your head, and you start having that negative, oh, yes, I agree. Yeah. And I'm worried about that in this, Christine Celeste. I'm afraid that I all of a sudden publish and make my deck, and then all of a sudden, like Dame Darcy's mermaid deck, it looks exactly like the Los Caribbean mermaid deck, and I'm like, those little fears just start to circle in your head, and you're like, somebody just came out with that deck, and somebody says, this isn't going to look the same. Is it too much of the same energy? Is it too much this, too much that? And I'm like, trying to tell myself, no, I'm not making a Dame Darcy, Los Caribbean deck. It's not that similar, but it's similar enough that it's definitely, not similar enough, but it's kind of, I think you start having fears when you're making your own tarot deck, because you are starting to get your anxiety level up, and you're starting to realize that there's certain personal things in yourself that are starting to be revealed in the deck and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of nervousness that I'm having with making my own deck, and the Tarot of the Crone is wonderful for chakras, and it's actually a good reading deck, but I just never been called to use it. I am not sure about the fate of this deck. I edged it in black. Badass. It looks badass that way. I am not sure about the fate of this deck. I don't know if I'm going to pass this on or keep it. I really do like this deck, and I do enjoy the energy of this deck. I just have not been reaching for it. And I get very nervous about that. I'm going to try to talk about a few more decks, and then I'm going to have to quickly wrap up this video because I'm hearing the kids downstairs. And it's already about 38 minutes long into the video. How are you getting along with your Oracle Tarot, Christine Celeste? That's another deck that really shocked me of 2000. What is it? 2017. I don't even remember what year it is still. I just love the colors. It's really a great color deck, and I feel like it reads really, really well. And I got the mini deck because I feel like I want to do that big spreads and the mandala spreads almost with this deck, because I feel like the energy is right for this deck. And I love the simplicity. It is definitely very meditative, and it really gets me thinking about the chakras too, Miss Christine and Celeste. It's just, I just love that. And it's just simple imagery, simple, 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 simple. It's crazy simple, and I love crazy simple sometimes in a deck because I feel like my intuition flies a lot better with crazy simple. And I've noticed I've been reaching for more Marseille decks. I've been reaching for more Pip decks and things like that because I feel like the crazy simplicity is really letting my imagination, my intuition fly and really working with the card deeper than just a superficial image that kind of solves it for you in a way. So yeah, I love the Orbifold. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful deck. Beautiful, beautiful. And his packaging is just exquisite. Magnifique, as they say in French. It's magnifique? Is it? I know, how would you say? It's magnifique, magnifique, or very good. I'm very bad with French. I only speak very little, and I read it better than I speak it. The Dark Goddess Tarot is an interesting deck. I have not been reading with it either. I've not been reaching for it, but when I do reach for it and when I do read with it, it does some really great messages and imagery. I feel like that I do not try to mix the directions all around with this deck, but it feels like the deck wants to do it already, just naturally. It already wants to, go spin around and do its own thing when I shuffle it and energetically. So I just embrace it, and I embrace the multi-directions in this deck. And I just feel like this deck, for such a beautiful deck, the cardstock is really, really thin. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I'm worried about the longevity of this deck and using this deck for longevity. I'm going to try to speed it up just a little bit. I got the Sassy Burrito, but I think it's very expensive for Europeans to get it overseas, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, I do too, Miss Luna. I have the Sassy Burrito, but I have not been reaching for it like other people have been reaching for it. I love the images and I love the cards and I really love this deck, but I've just not been wanting to reach for it like other people have and been ranting and raving about. Oh, he's just so cute. He's adorable. But yeah, I've just not been reaching for it, and I don't know if I should do a deck challenge with it or something like that. I'm not very good with Instagram deck challenges, by the way. And just working with a deck, doing deck challenges, can get really hard for me real quickly because I got kids, I want to do journaling when I do the deck challenges. It's very beautiful and it's very direct. I just don't reach for it. That's all. And that's as simple as that. I just don't reach for it. And sometimes you got to go with what you reach for and what you do. But maybe this deck will come spiraling up again during a season or something. And that's something that I want to work with too. I got two more decks that I'm going to talk about, and then I should boot off just a little bit or for a little while because I got the kids waking up downstairs. The Afilda Rosa Tarot, which is the indie deck that Patrick and Kelly from Truth and Story made me get. It's a wonderful deck, but I just have not been reaching for it. I've not been reaching for this one either, but it's also hard because I really wanted to know the flower imageries in this deck, and I'm feeling like I'm lacking that flower imageries that I wanted in this deck. It's such a beautiful deck. And the cardstock is wonderful. I think it's very good intuitive reading deck we'll see. We'll see if I pick it up a little bit more during the fall, because I do feel like the energy is very fall-like. And I might pick up the Oracle deck because it's such a wonderful deck. It's a beautiful deck. I just have not been using it. Yes, I do. And the last deck that I really am excited about working with a lot deeper is the Invisible Light Tarot. I've been crushing over this deck for a long time, and I just feel like this deck is so deep. I think it's because it's actually a photo deck, and you actually connect with the people in the deck versus you're actually connecting with real people and real scenes, art scenes and photographic scenes. I just really, really love how she sees the world. And I think that's what it really boils down to. I really love how she sees the world. And I could just really dive deep into just the photographs. And I really enjoy that. I could talk about tarot all day. And it's a very expensive deck of Miss Christine and Celeste. This is the Invisible Tarot, the Invisible Light. And it's $65, I believe, US dollars. And I think I paid a pretty good shipping price too. And she's from Washington State. So I don't know how that's gonna all turn out for a European buyer. But it's a very beautiful deck. It's really good cardstock. I mean, it's like that 400G cardstock. It's a 400G cardstock, Miss Luna. I'll do one really good shuffle with it. It's a little thicker, but I feel like it shuffles pretty nicely for a thicker cardstock. It's definitely not as bad as the Star Child Tarot. And it doesn't overhand shuffle very well because of the mat, but it seems to rifle shuffle very nicely. I'll show you some overhand shuffles. It's overhand shuffling a lot better than I thought it would. But the cardstock is very good. It's about 400 Gs. Okay, nice to... I'll see you soon, Miss Christine and Celeste, and I'll try to do more live chats. I have to go too because my kids are crying downstairs anyway, so don't worry. You're not going to miss too much. But yeah, this is a great deck, and it's a wonderful cardstock. And I just love the images. So you should try to pick it up real quickly or soon, because I think she's running out of her first edition copy of this deck. I think that's the last time I saw that on Instagram. I ordered it, and she immediately, right after I ordered this deck, announced on Instagram she had a few copies of this left. So if you want a copy, you might want to pick it up pretty soon, because there was not too many copies of this first edition left. And I don't know if she's going to run another edition, because I think it's a little expensive. The deck itself is a little expensive, like I said. But in getting another... I think that's why a lot of people have not been buying this deck, is because it's yeah. I think that's the reason why a lot of people have not been buying this deck, though, because it's really expensive, even in US dollars. It was like $65 US and plus shipping, and that was like, and I think that's why. But it's a really nice box, really nice cardstock. But she did say she's running out of her first edition decks, and I don't know if she's going to have another run of it because it was selling not so good. I think this is the first edition deck. This first edition deck had been selling since 2015, maybe. I think it's been several years or been a year. I don't know if it's been out since 15 or 16. I know it was not that long. This deck has been out not that long, but it's been out pretty long. Long, but not that long. I don't know what I'm saying. But it's... So yeah, this deck has been out for a little while, and I just don't think it's got that... A lot of people has been buying it because of those kind of reasons. So, those are some of my decks that I've been not showing. Yeah, I don't see many YouTubers talking about this deck either, and Mindful Tarot has this deck, and that's, and a few other small YouTube channels, tarot YouTube channels, but they're not usually the channels that I follow anyways. I don't mean to be mean on some people, but they were not the channels I follow, for whatever reason. I think it's because they do those weekly Taroscope readings and stuff. I don't usually follow those videos, and it's hard for me to want to follow those videos, so I have a hard time following those people who are talking about Taroscopes and Aries videos and things like that. I think that's great for outsiders in the tarot community coming in. Don't get me wrong, I think those videos are wonderful for outside tarot readers coming in, but I feel like those videos are, it kind of is wasted, or not wasted, but it's kind of, I don't know. For somebody who's, for somebody who's a tarot reader like us, we want to see videos on people working with the deck. We want to see videos of people doing walkthroughs with the deck. And we want to see people doing educational things about the tarot deck. We don't necessarily want... I don't usually go and seek out channels who does the weekly tarot reading. So it's kind of hard for me to want to watch that. Even though it might behoove me to watch it, because I learned what other people see in the tarot and vice versa, and it's really good advertisement if you're... Yes. And it's very good advertisement, definitely if you're trying to run your own Etsy shops and things like that, to show people what you can do in a reading and things like that, so... I do get it. I'll tell you what. Let's pull a card from the Invisible Light Tarot to close up this video, because I got the kids crying downstairs. I don't really rifle shuffle this deck very much, but it's actually better rifle shuffling than it is overhand, I think. So, let's go ahead and pull a card. Alright. And we got the Knight of Earth. I really love this Knight of Earth because my husband and I, before we had kids, we actually had horses. And he was an aspiring horse trainer, and he's kind of lost that dream a little bit just because we got kids and we got to pay the bills. And we're not just us anymore. If it was just us stupid adults doing stupid things, we'd probably be a little bit more laissez-faire with a lot of things, but we got kids and we got responsibilities. But the Knight of Earth is action of Earth. He's making his physical world happen. he wants to make things happen in his physical world. If he doesn't see something happening in his physical world, he's going to usually make things happen in the physical world. Like this woman with a horse. She's trying to get this horse to touch her hand and to come close to her. And if the horse is not going to go to her, she's got to have to go to it, and she's got to go to it tactfully and swiftly, because a horse, I know this from experience, they will run away from you and play games. A domesticated horse will run away from you and play funny little games, and they're like, hee hee, you can't catch me. Stupid human running in the field, running after me. And so I see this with both ways with the Knight of Earth. If you can't have things happen in your world, you gotta make things happen in your world. You gotta put that extra effort out there. You gotta actually be a little bit more aggressive and get to the horse. And get to the horse, whether it being, I think she's just feeding the horse here, or she's going to jump on and ride the horse. And when you're making things happen, that way, you get moving in your world, because let's say that the end goal is that you actually riding the horse. The end goal of riding the horse really means that you're propelling yourself forward. You're propelling yourself, and you're going to feel that energy, that action energy inside of you bursting forth. And when you're riding a horse, I feel like it's like that surge of energy that it brings out a surge of energy within that is like that fire within. And that's what really, like the action or the knights is like that wands energy. The knight cards or the knight suit is like that wands energy. You're bringing in that passion within. You're igniting that passion within, and there's nothing else like riding a horse, in my opinion. And it just manifests itself into bliss, and you feel this bliss. But you also got to be careful and not get harmed by the animal, or the animal, or you harming it to get it to do what you want it to do. And sometimes that could be a reversal side. So, there we are. I think if you want something in your world, you got to manifest it yourself sometimes. You got to make things happen to get things going, or to get the ball rolling. And I think that's a good reading for today. Now I have to go because I hear my little daughter, the Morgan, screaming at the top of her lungs down the stairs, going, "Where's Mom? Where's Dad? Where's everybody? Mom is hiding. Go back to sleep, child." Thank you, Miss Luna, and everybody else that has joined me for this live chat. I've seen Arwen, I've seen Christine Celeste, and I'm glad that you got that message, Miss Luna. And I think that was all who I've seen. I think I saw bird watchers too, so thank you for joining me today, and I get to brag about some decks and get to talk to you all. And I'll see you in the next video. Blessed be, and I'll hope to do more live chats. Thank you.